did have we had a meeting on this, and he reported to Nancy on Norwalk that he asked Tom and I, he said, do you want this? Tell us now. And then he alleged that we were not in favor of it for our own political gain. Don't ask me what our political gain is here. There's been nothing but a lot of work and taking advantage of a wonderful opportunity for the city. But in any event, while he reported that to NancyOnNorwalk, he didn't report the rest of my statement, which was, you have given your insurances in terms of that statement that Erica read at the December meeting, that this would not preclude other capital priorities of the Board of Education. So I think I would recommend that you have to at this point ignore the recommendations of the finance director and work directly with the mayor, and I would have every confidence that he will be good for his word. And so we have to trust each other. We have to work together. This kind of behavior that's been introduced lately is just, very disruptive and serves to distance our relationship. So we certainly don't want to participate in it or to meet it in kind. So I would say I'm still confident in the mayor's pledge on this, and I think it is worth a conversation, at least between this committee and the mayor, because he would have the opportunity till March 1st to restore some of the ridiculous cuts, like the technology for 5 years and some of the other things. We're most concerned about NARMAC, I think, because that has been on the list for a while, and you've done all the work on that already. That project is ready to go. We're also concerned about Tracy. The Tracy playground is in very, very bad condition. Tracy is the same age as Rowayton, and as you know, Rowayton has had a number of projects. Tracy, with the exception of the cafeteria, has not. We have a school there where most of the students walk to school, and the playground will be an asset to the community. That happens to be a recreation department project, which was also cut. So I think it's worth a conversation with the mayor, but my sense is I would be fairly confident that he would be willing to work with you, on the most important of those priorities. I think his pledge was around the priorities. So we don't expect to get everything when we submit a capital request.
So if we approve with the contingency that our priorities are met, would that be fair?
Well, my recommendation is that you approve it. You can certainly modify that in any way you feel appropriate in terms of your responsibilities.
Yeah. So I think this can go. We can consider sending this to the full board with our endorsement, having studied the specs, and leave it up to the board to decide when we know that it won't jeopardize other projects to push it forward. I do want to just, because I always wear my little finance hat, I want to talk a little bit about the financial impact, because there have been a lot of questions from the public. So from our calculations, we believe that the bonding for this project would impact the operating budget to the tune starting out at about 2.4 million and over 30 years tapering out to 1.7. So it's actually not a huge impact on a $323 million budget, and the return on investment for our 50 million is another 175 approximately, which is an incredible return on investment and an opportunity for us to not only improve our education but also improve our property values and position within the ecosystem of Fairfield County as a center for the arts. In addition to the capital bonding impact on the budgeting, I think we need to talk about the operating impact. And our understanding is there's been a lot of talk about it's a regional high school. There's been a lot of talk about are paying for 200 other students to go to school with no reimbursement. Those are not what has been discussed, and we need to clarify and end the rumors. So the agreement would be a tuition or seat swap with other districts. And hopefully, when we're awaiting further details from the superintendent of his discussions with the other members of the superintendents in the region, hopefully would be at a net wash on our budget, and could be advantageous because it could provide opportunities for our students that they don't currently have. So I think that people are looking at this once again from a scarcity mindset, when in fact this is an opportunity and can be a win-win, not just for Norwalk, but for many of our neighboring
So
districts.
if I could just take a minute to clarify some of those issues. You know, this is part of a orientation of the state in terms of state policy, you know, that has been really driven by the governor. You'll recall that Governor Lamont in the fall had a proposal for district merger, right? It's been, you know, well known in our state for years and years that we have an inordinate, because we have 167 little districts in our little state, we're spending an inordinate amount of money on administration, with each of these districts having a central office that could be put into educational opportunities for students and funding their education. That proposal did not gain traction, you know, from our suburban neighbors who you know, like the status quo. But it really then morphed into the current state perspective, which is around shared services. In other words, we should be doing more with our education service centers cooperatively for the region. And this idea, Senator Duff's idea of a pilot for a shared services school, I think came out of that discussion. So because this is a pilot and it hasn't been done before, you know, it doesn't fit the mold of everybody doing everything separately. But I think the state is appropriately saying, look, you can't have like 3 arts academies, right? In Western Connecticut, you should only have 1, and we only should have to pay for 1 because it's wasteful to be able to replicate these opportunities. There should only be 1 P-TECH. There should only be 1 of something else. And we have to find ways where we can share services. Now, I have not had detailed conversations with any superintendent. I had a group conversation at one of our monthly superintendents meetings where I broached this issue. The feedback was it would be very difficult for our suburban districts who are declining in enrollment, right? We're growing, they're declining, to be able to pay us tuition and lose a student at the same time, right? And so out of that collaborative discussion came this idea of a student exchange or tuition exchange or seat exchange, however you want to say it, because it would benefit us in 2 ways. One, it would meet the criteria for the pilot. And you know, you're right, I think you mentioned at the last meeting that, you know, it's not fair. Well, it's also not fair for us to get 80% when the other 30% districts are only getting 30. But this is the quid pro quo, right? So we're getting 80% in return for building additional seats and taking 100 students from Bridgeport and Stanford for P-TECH, because that is a program for underserved students nationally, and from our economically segregated suburban neighbors for the art school. So the idea of a tuition exchange is to be able to provide not only opportunities for our students, but we're overcrowded. We're at 107% capacity now. We're not going to catch up to that for a long time. And so it's helpful given this opportunity for a student from New Canaan to come to the art school, and it opens a slot for a Norwalk student to go there. Now the details of this would have to be worked out. We would have to have participating districts. And, you know, that probably is something that would occupy the administration, our administration, Norwalk's administration, about a year before the school is scheduled to open. But you have to have a very precise idea of the program. You know, you have to be way beyond the ed specs. We have to have approved design specifications from the arts committee that's working now. Those are gonna come to you next October. So, you know, I'm gratified that I've been able to get this off the ground, but it is it really represents future work. But the general idea, which is viewed to be more acceptable than paying Norwalk tuition, is to exchange seats, because then that does not affect the enrollment of of our neighbors, and it again provides more opportunities for our students. We are these academies are generally sized at 400 students, the way the P-TECH is now. That's the Bill and Melinda Gates, you know, research optimum size of a small personalized high school. So what we would be doing is we're adding 100 to each, so that no Norwalk student would be denied an opportunity.
So, in your